Good evening, everyone. Hopefully, you're having a wonderful day so far. I got a good one for you today. It's question period, November 27th. Now, there's going to be a lot of interesting things going on here, especially with the GST tax credit, I guess. So, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. And with no further ado, let's get into it.
Oral questions.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Canadians are facing the threat of tariffs by the United States. Now, what's the situation here after 9 years with this Prime Minister? Our economy is weak. Our armed forces, our military is weak. Our borders are weak. The Prime Minister himself is weak. When will we finally have an election so that Canadians can choose themselves a strong leader who will protect the economy and put Canada first? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, how ironic. We've given the Conservative Party a chance to put Canadians first, but what do? Well, they vote against initiatives that would help Canadians. They voted against dental care. They vote against the school food program. They voted against more spots in daycare. And they're going to vote against the tax break we're offering Canadians to help them over the next few months. Mr. Speaker, the Conservative Party leader rises every day to block help for Canadians. He's only thinking about his own interests, not what's best for Canadians.
So the majority of what he was talking about of why the Conservatives are going to be voting against the GST tax break, he doesn't tell you the reason why they're quote unquote voting against it is the Conservatives aren't going to vote to cancel the embargo on Parliament, or this seizure in Parliament, because of all the scandals going on with Justin Trudeau. So that's his view on not voting against it. And I haven't watched the vote that went on later on today, after question period. So I will be doing a video on that, and we will see what actually happened.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. This Prime Minister is just too weak. He is too weak to protect our economy against Donald Trump's threats. For 3 weeks now, it's been 3 weeks since the President-elect was elected. He's been repeating his threats for weeks. And what's the Prime Minister's plan? A Zoom call. A Zoom call with provincial premiers who feel that this Prime Minister is too weak. Quebec will send the Quebec Provincial Police to protect its borders. Alberta says that this Prime Minister is not defending and standing up for our economy. When will we have an election so that we can get ourselves a strong leader who will protect our economy? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, while the Conservative Party leader is playing petty partisan politics and putting on a show in this House, we are working every day to help Canadians. Members of Parliament represent their constituents here in this place. That's what we're doing on this side. But on the other side, everyone is just helping the Conservative leader rather than constituents. We are helping with school food, with daycare. They're not supporting that. They say that everything is broken, but they're the ones trying to break everything for Canadians. We're here to invest in Canadians. They're here to sow chaos and discord, to break things, to not help Canadians. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Now that doesn't even make sense, what Justin Trudeau just said. If you go against what Justin Trudeau says at any point in anything, you're either demoted or you're fired. Just take the previous Justice Minister into fact. And it's crazy how Alberta has to enact the Sovereignty Act again because of the cap on oil and gas that Mr. Guilbeault is now putting through. And it's even crazier how Quebec has to use their own police to patrol their borders because our federal government is so incompetent they can't use the RCMP, who are supposed to be patrolling the borders to make sure people don't come in legally. So saying that Pierre Poilievre is wrong about our government being incompetent is incredibly false.
Face an unprecedented threat from President Trump's potential tariffs. And what is the state of things here in Canada? Our economy is weakened. Our borders are weakened. Our military is weakened. And most of all, our Prime Minister is weakened. Why can't we have a carbon tax election so Canadians can choose a leader with the brains and backbone to protect our economy and put Canada first?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, while the Leader of the Opposition focuses on himself and on me, we're staying focused on Canadians. We're investing in the kinds of things that are going to help people. We stood up for dental care. We stood up to deliver a school foods program. We're moving forward with more spaces of $10 a day childcare, all things that the Conservative Party voted against. But most recently, Mr. Speaker, they've announced they're going to be voting against the GST break for Canadians over the next couple of months. Something that's going to help people at a time where they need that little extra help. But he doesn't care about helping Canadians. He just wants them to suffer more. So maybe he has a chance.
Suffer more. That's craziness. In Alberta, we only pay the GST, so that's 5% right there. And the GST is not put on groceries. It's not put on a lot of stuff that we need to consume already. It's put on everything extra. So that for 2 months will not be saving Canadians. Before, I put out a tweet about this, and I thought it was put out on groceries. So I was even more mad because they didn't mention that, but I was wrong. Pretty much all of this is to buy votes. That's all it's for. And that $250 tax credit, or not tax credit, sorry, $250 check, why don't they put it through right now before Christmas when people are buying presents? This is when they need it, not April. Is it you're preparing for an election and trying to buy votes again? Are people gonna, and I'd like to say people aren't gonna fall for it, but people fallen for it about 3 times already, so I don't know.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, he's lost control of our borders. He's lost control of immigration. He's lost control of spending. And with that erratic performance, we now see that he's lost control of himself. No wonder foreign leaders believe they can walk all over him. They see him as a weak, incompetent leader who does not even have the support of his own party. Yes. Why won't he put the country first for a change, allow a carbon tax election so Canadians can have a Prime Minister who will protect this country? The
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
You can tell he stood up all night against the mirror trying to practice that line. The reality is, Mr. Speaker, we've got our sleeves rolled up. We are fighting for Canadians every single day. We will stand up for good Canadian jobs. We will make sure we continue to have great relations with the United States as we build a stronger future on both sides of the border. We're going to continue to deliver the kinds of things that matter for Canadians. Dental care, free insulin, school food programs, all programs that Conservatives voted against, and now they're going to vote against a GST break for Canadians right across the country for the next few months. That's not being there for Canadians, that's being there for himself.
The The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Just to prove how weak and out of control he's become, he just engaged in a mass hallucination, listing off a bunch of programs that actually don't even exist outside of his own head. But if he's not prepared to stand up for the country when it comes to trade, then why don't we have a real election about taxes? He can run on his tiny 2-month tax trick, and I'll run on my common sense plan to axe the tax and axe the sales tax on new homes. How about a carbon tax election now?
And the hilarious thing is Pierre Poilievre is completely true. That's all true. That Trudeau, all of that's in his head. But let's see what Trudeau says in response.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
We saw it perfectly clearly just now, the fact that he is trying to gaslight Canadians. He just said that the dental care program, to pick one, doesn't even exist. Well, tell that to the 1 million plus Canadians who've gone to see the dentist, many for the first time in years, because of the Canada Dental Care benefit. This is what he's standing against. He's trying to convince Canadians that everything's broken while he forces his MPs to vote against a GST break that's going to help Canadians over the coming months. That's not leadership. That's pandering to the lowest common denominator.
The reason he says that these things are in your head and they don't exist are because you keep saying they're free. This is free. This is free. It's the same thing when we say we have free healthcare here. It's not. It comes out of our taxes. We pay for them through our taxes. So it's not free. It's just we don't notice them. And that's the same thing with this insulin. That's the same thing with everything. And what Pierre Poilievre is saying is we're going to actually take taxes off by getting rid of this carbon taxes instead of the Liberals' plan of just getting rid of the GST tax credit. Or, sorry, I keep calling it a GST tax credit. Taking the GST off for 2 months. Plus, the Conservatives are going to take the GST off of your first home. So that's even better. Can you imagine paying like $400,000 and not having to pay the GST on that? That would be crazy. Anyways, let's continue.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has everyone unanimously against him and his so-called Christmas present. Canadians don't want it, business owners don't want it, retirees don't want it, students don't want it, economists don't want it, even those who are well off and kind-hearted, they don't want it. No one wants the Prime Minister's Christmas gift. When will the Prime Minister understand that one cannot buy votes? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, Canadians are struggling. That's why we are offering a tax break to all Canadians for the next few months. A tax break at the restaurant, at the grocery store. We know that Canadians are struggling these days. We have one of the best financial situations of all G7 countries, and that means that we're able to help Canadians a little bit. The Bloc might not want that, but that's because the Bloc Québécois, Mr. Speaker, all they want is to pick fights and squabbles. They don't want the government to truly help Canadians and Quebecers, but despite them in their opposition, that's exactly what we're going to do.
L'honorable député.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, Canadians who are struggling are those who will not receive a rebate check. You know who is struggling, Mr. Speaker? The Liberals themselves. The Conservatives don't seem to support the proposal. The NDP neither. The Bloc Québécois neither. No one in this House seems to support the rebate check. If the Prime Minister is so sure of himself, why doesn't he make it a matter of confidence and have a confidence vote?
Oh, and you can see the Conservatives are loving that one. But I decided to do some research when Trudeau said that, Canada is in the best economic position of all the G7 countries, which I keep saying over and over and over again. It's hilarious that we keep comparing ourselves to just 6 other countries when there's hundreds of countries out there. But so our gross debt in 2023 was $3,036 billion, a 4.6 increase from 2022. This includes $1,641.1 billion in federal government debt and $1,487.9 billion in provincial, territorial, and local government. I just looked this up on AI Overview, and to be completely honest, whoever makes this AI stuff, nobody says 1,000 or 641 billion. So let's do this again. Canada is now in $3.036 trillion in debt. That is crazy, and apparently we are doing extremely well. I'll have to look. That seems a little bit crazy for me, so I'm gonna have to look into this again, because I am hoping that I'm wrong. I am hoping I just had a long day at work and am totally dense. Let me know in the comments down below if I am impeccably wrong about our debt clock here. And yes, the reason why nobody wants this GST tax off and nobody wants these $350 checks is because the government hasn't provided us the information on how we're going to pay for it. Because this money has to come from somewhere. Money just doesn't grow on trees. But money is taxed. Or money is printed, and we know from this liberal government that it's definitely going to be one of those two, and they like to make that moneymaker go burr.
Order, please.
S'il vous plaît.
Order, please.
Le très honorable Premier ministre.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister. It's clear, Mr. Speaker, that opposition parties want a political excuse to vote against something that Canadians do want. Canadians need a tax break. That's exactly what we are giving them. It will be up to opposition parties to decide whether they want to be there for their constituents, to be there for Canadians who are struggling, or if they prefer playing petty partisan politics and picking fights. The Bloc and the Conservatives want to say that Canada's broken, but we on this side are here for Canadians to support them and to help them when times are tough.
L'honorable député.
The Honourable Member for Rosemont-la-Petite-Patrie.
Monsieur le Président, trouvez l'erreur.
Mr. Speaker, tell me what's wrong with this picture. On the one hand, we have Danielle, who is retired for medical reasons. Her disability income is $45,000 a year.
Okay, I'm sorry. I can't listen to the NDP. I just cannot do it, and it's getting late. So, I looked up from the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, which is way better than the AI, because I think what the AI clock was doing was it was giving me a comma, and that's the French way of doing a decimal, I think. So anyways, so Canada's federal debt, Oh, wow. No, this is our federal debt. That was our federal and provincial debt. So we might be, in Canada, $3 trillion in debt. Because the Canada's Taxpayers Federation says that we are $1.241 trillion in debt. That means my share and your share is almost $30,000. We are doing awesome. We are doing so good, guys. Let's just spend more. But what do you guys think about our federal debt? Since we're doing the best out of all the G7 countries, should we just keep on printing more off and just keep on taxing more, or what should we do about it? Should we be more conservative about our spending? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'm hoping for 500 subscribers by the end of December. If we could get there, that would be awesome. And that's all, folks. Have a great day.